Live from the KAKE Studios, this is KAKE News on your side at 10.
We are tracking breaking news at this hour. Tornado has touched down in the small Kansas town of Eureka. It's about an hour east of Wichita.
Yeah, the town of 2,600 people took a direct hit, and the sheriff's office says the damage is widespread. KAKE News has several crews on the scene. We have reports of at least one minor injury at this time, while crews continue to search for anyone else who might be hurt. Let's get right out to KAKE's Carl Mann, who's live on the southwest side of town right now. Carl?
Yeah, Deb, that's right. And we want to just give you a look at the extensive damage that you had mentioned, the debris that is spread all across homes here in the southwest part of Eureka. You've got pieces of tree limbs in people's front yards, housing and roofing, tin all over the place, insulation blown all over into this area. Now, the people that we spoke with at this time, they did not report any injuries. That was at least a good factor right there. Want to give you at least a little bit of a look, if we can. The magnitude of this tree that is down is blocking the road right now. Volunteer crews have come out here. They're trying to get this tree out of the way so emergency crews can then move in. Again, all the people that we spoke to, there's no power, a lot of chaos in the streets, especially along Highway 54. That's where we pulled in. That is the main drag here in Eureka. As soon as we pulled in, we got off to the side of the road. The debris and damage was so all over the place that we had to stop. We immediately picked up our camera, started talking to people. Here's one person that we spoke with about the damage and the fact that his family was okay.
Well, I was just sitting around at my house, and then all of a sudden the storm breaks out and it gets real bad, and then a couple minutes later it's over. I looked outside and there's a bunch of trash blown everywhere, and I walked down the block and there's just damage everywhere. And once I started walking around, came over here and I noticed that this business, Tireland, has been destroyed, and all my family's been all right.
All right, back out here live in southwest Eureka, where, again, earlier today, the town was hit with a tornado. And again, just want to give you a little bit more look at the damage that is in this area. Again, crews going to be cleaning this up all night long. People in this area just thankful that they made it out with their health. We're going to continue to track anything that comes through here. We are experiencing some light winds, some light rain starting to come down at this time. But again, we are going to be out here covering all the cleanup and the fallout from this storm. Reporting live in Eureka, I'm Carl Mann, KAKE News on your side.
And Carl, just one quick question for you. Is Highway 54 actually closed down then?
So that's an interesting question, Deb. At parts, yes. At parts, no. When we rolled into town, it was not. Now, at times, we've watched as emergency officials have gone and blocked off the street, and then they will open Highway 54 back up. The last resident I just talked to said down at the Dollar General, which is Lake Street, that is where it is closed off, and you can't go any further. So literally, as you get into town, the debris, the damage is so bad that you're going to want to pull off to the side. But yes, Highway 54 closed in sections from our vantage point here.
All right, thanks. We'll check in with Carl in just a moment. KAKE's meteorologist Tony Lawback was one of the first in Eureka after that storm hit. He talked to an eyewitness. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Well, I was actually about to go over to my neighbor, some neighbor's house over there, and I had my dog about to go over, and I was breaking down his cage. And right as I was breaking down his cage, I heard this like a train coming through, and the back door started vibrating. Wind was just going everywhere. So I was watching at the front door, and I was just praying to God that, you know, everything and everybody was okay.
What did you see and hear when it came through?
I watched my tree back here. I think it's a sycamore, just cut in half. And I watched some of the bigger oaks here. They were just same thing on top. And like I said, it just sounded like wind and train coming through.
Have you heard about anybody injured?
I haven't heard about anybody injured. I do know there's more damage down on 3rd Street over there, power lines and all that.
This storm kind of hit very quickly without
yes.
warning. This is probably one of the only times you can say it hit without warning, and it legitimately did. How much time did you have to react?
3 or 4 minutes. I heard the sirens go off, and then after I heard the sirens go off, I'm like, okay, I got to get a plan of action. So what I did, like I said, I broke my dog's cage down, about to take it over to my friend's house, and then put him in the bathroom. And went back to get the cage. I'm like, I can't get anybody on the phone, so I grabbed him. I was about to go over, and it just sounded like a train coming through.
Just some harrowing stories out there. Thousands of people in Greenwood County, meanwhile, are without power because of this storm. Now, Westar is reporting that it's you can see a bullseye right there on the town of Eureka. Crews are now working to restore power to some 4,700 people. That's nearly everyone in the county. They are in the dark tonight. KAKE's Jacqueline Chappell is live now with a group of employees. They had to seek shelter inside their building. Jacqueline, tell us more.
Yeah, Jim, we're here on the corner of Main and River Street. And this is just on the edge of town, right when you pull in. We're here at the Town Sonic, and here, let me show you a little bit of the damage that they had out here. You can see right here, this looked like part of the roof, a lot of tree damage, and right here we've got quite a bit. We've got quite a bit of actual debris up here in the trees and everything, and they say that their sign is missing. But as you said, the manager and their employees did ride out the storm inside. The manager actually came out here when she heard the wind going and everything, and she said that she saw a lot of movement up in the sky, and that's when she knew that it was time to take shelter. So she got all of her employees inside, and they actually took shelter in the deep freeze, where they say it sounded like a train was running through the building. But here's what they had to say.
I put my head out, was listening for sirens. I heard them in the distance. I didn't hear them here. I told the crew to go ahead and go to the back and just hang on a minute, let me see what's going on. As I looked up, I saw the rotation. I yelled at them to get in the walk-in. I literally just turned around like this, saw our sign fly by, and the tornado was here.
And those employees say that they're all doing okay tonight, no reports of injuries, and it looks like the building is pretty structurally sound. But we'll keep you updated as we learn more. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, Jacqueline, I hear a lot of activity happening around you. Kind of set the scene. What's happening around you there?
Yeah, just right over here, like I said, we're just on the corner of town. You can see quite a bit of emergency crews just lining the streets here. I mean, there are a lot of people out here. Some are just onlookers, that whose homes are okay. It sounds like most of the storm did just run right here through the middle. Some of the people we talked to live in some of these homes back behind here and stuff, and they say that their houses are okay. But we did hear some of the employees here in the Sonic said that two of their families did lose their homes tonight. But like I said, there is a lot of people in here tonight. A lot of people here in this town, and making sure that everybody is okay and safe.
Well, just a sea of lights behind you, a lot of rescue crews. What are they doing?
A lot of them have been walking around and asking people if they need anything, water, making sure they're okay, any cuts and bruises and that kind of thing. We also have seen, like you said earlier, they're trying to get the power back on here. We have seen quite a few power trucks trying to replace the electricity out here.
Chappell, thanks.
Well, the state has already declared a disaster declaration for the town. Let's get right out to KAKE's Morgan Downing, who is in another part of the town with more details on that. Morgan.
Deb, you can see right behind me, this is where emergency responders are all meeting up here at the fire station on Main Street here in Eureka. They're getting those assignments, being debriefed on this situation, and then heading out to do their work. We do want to say that the emergency management here in Greenwood County, they're asking everyone to stay indoors if their homes aren't affected, and to stay just out of the streets. They're asking people to stop trying to drive into town because it is delaying their progress. Also, the American Red Cross has opened a shelter just down here on Main Street at the Methodist Church for anyone who needs to shelter. Now, I do want to show you this damage right here by me. This is a roof. The entire roof has been blown off of this building right here. This is a bookstore. We're told, obviously, lots of books. And just a few moments ago, the rain, you guys, was coming down hard. And so people are trying to hurry up and get into this building and try to put a tarp over what they can so that they can prevent any more damage to that building. But a lot of cleanup to be done. We see a lot of debris out here on Main Street. I can tell you here in about 15 minutes or so, we are going to have a briefing from the Greenwood County Sheriff. That's up at the courthouse, so that is where we are headed here shortly to be briefed on any injuries and get an update on this situation. Deb and Jim.
And Morgan, just in the past covering tornadoes like that, I know emergency crews will go door to door and actually mark an X on the door to say, yes, we've checked this home, everybody's okay here. Have you seen those crews out doing that yet, or are they just trying to make a plan right now?
Well, it looks like they have been making that plan. I've heard them. It's hard. They're keeping us over here. And so, but they have been meeting in teams and small groups, shouting out orders, and groups have been leaving this area right here at the fire station in small groups on foot. And so they are definitely working and getting those assignments. And I assume that they will be checking each house and doing just that, Deb.
All right, thanks, Morgan.
All right, we are getting more views of the damage. As we mentioned, it's widespread. This is video. This came from our first alert storm chaser, Bryce Kintai. He arrived in Eureka just shortly after the storm had hit. Now, he reports widespread damage to trees and homes. He tells us that he saw damage to the high school there. He says he saw a mobile home that was literally lifted from its pad. This looks like it's some kind of a shelter, maybe a warehouse, but you can see down power lines on the roads. That is why, by the way, they have closed so many of those roads, and the police have a big presence there right now, as do the deputies. Now, if you know someone, if you or somebody you know has been displaced by the storm, the Greenwood County Emergency Management says that it has a shelter. It's been set up over at the Methodist Church in downtown Eureka. It's off of Main Street. People are being asked to bring any supplies they can or anything else that they need. Of course, Jay Prater was telling us a little earlier, this thing came without warning.
Yeah, which is very unusual. Jay, you were just saying this developed right over the town.
Yeah, this is one of the few times you're actually going to be able to say that. But let's kind of get you spun up on what's happening right now. They just extended the severe thunderstorm warning for Sedgwick County that includes the city of Wichita. That is going to go now until 11:15, and we still have a severe thunderstorm warning for southern parts of Butler County, south of Leon. That is until 10:30. I want to get you into this Wichita storm because as it was traveling between Colwich and Bentley, we were getting some occasional funnel reports with the curvature of that as it crossed K96, and then even it was heading north of Goddard, still had some reports of some occasional funnels being produced. Had some rotation there. It's not really strong now. We were kind of teased with it. Now, earlier, we also had some larger hail with this, but as this rolls into Wichita, at least within the majority of the city, I don't think we're going to see really strong wind gusts because, I mean, keep an eye on the Maze sensor. Even though the gust isn't reporting, we're noticing sustained 20 miles per hour. Here at the KAKE studio, so far, the peak gust only 27, 19 miles per hour downtown. You get it East Wichita, about 14 miles per hour. So I'm going to take you back over to the edge. This is mostly heavy rain. Even the bigger hail is starting to move over towards between Garden Plain and Goddard. So I think we're going to dodge the larger hail because we had some larger than quarter size when that was moving through Maze. Now let's get into Butler County. El Dorado earlier, you had some very large hail. This is just heavy rain. If there was some hail about 5 minutes ago, that's already starting to reduce in size. And now we slide down to the south. This severe thunderstorm warning for Latham. It's crossing into Cowley County. We'll see if the Weather Service in Wichita extends that warning to the south. And as we get into Greenwood County, we got the cleanup ongoing. But look back to the northwest. This is heavy rain, maybe some smaller pea-sized hail crossing the turnpike, and that's probably going to get back into Eureka. So that's going to slow down the cleanup efforts as that next little thunderstorm rolls over the top. And even here, you know, between Hillsboro and Peabody, everything's moving down to the southeast, but this should be the northern extent. Once this line finally pushes southward, we're going to be done with this for the rest of the night. Now, as far as what happened, check this out. This was avocado-sized hail earlier in El Dorado. When this first started going, these thunderstorms here, this storm that went through El Dorado did produce a very weak, brief tornado well northeast of town, northwest of town that didn't do any kind of damage. And then here in the east side of Wichita, 21st and Rock, I mean, that's larger than golf balls that we had there, golf ball-sized hail in El Dorado. And then a lot of reports, this is Mamadas, saying what's going on with these bubbly clouds. These were Mamadas clouds. But then here's what fell in Maze just about 30 to 45 minutes ago. Yeah, there's a quarter. That's larger than golf balls. So very large hail with that. And here's another picture, 2-inch hail in Maze. Thanks for putting that with the ruler and sending that to us via social media. So a whole lot going on here in terms of the radar. And this storm basically developed right on top of Eureka. I'm going to go back, let's see, 7:21 p.m. and I will show you exactly what happened with this thunderstorm. It completely caught us off guard. Here I'm going to zoom into Eureka and go over to the velocity data. This storm just spun up within 2 sweeps of the radar, and then as it went forward in time, very clear indication on radar is that tracked and dissipated before it got to K99 on the north side of 54. So this dropped right on top of Eureka. So to say that it struck without warning was absolutely the truth in this case. Tomorrow, things really start heating up. We'll talk more about the weather forecast coming up.
Well, believe it or not, it was almost 2 years to the day that Eureka was hit by a pair of tornadoes. This happened in July 7th of 2016. This was an EF2 and 3. They touched down near the town. Eureka's north side was the hardest hit by the storm. A number of homes, a mobile home park, a church, and a nursing center all had extensive damage. The governor would later declare a state of emergency for Greenwood County. We'll be right back with much more.
This is KAKE News at 10 with Deb Ferris, Jim Grimes, Sports with Chase Shannon, and meteorologist Jay Prater with your KAKE First Alert forecast. KAKE News on your side.
Well, welcome back. We are continuing to track breaking news out of Eureka. We are waiting on a news conference from the local sheriff's office there. We'll bring you that live as soon as it becomes available. In the meantime, the last time we checked in with Carl Mann, he was standing in a sea of debris.
Yeah, what a mess out there. Carl, you're near Highway 54 in the southwest part of town. What's it like out there now?
Yeah, that's exactly correct, guys. In fact, just standing right off of Highway 54, take a look at some more of the magnitude of this. This tree completely demolished. The debris stacking up here, it's way over my head. Just a complete mess here. If you start to walk over into this area, we talked about some of the roofing, the siding that people were trying to clean up. Here you go. Here's a large chunk of it all wrapped into that tree. So let's go across the street right now. Go across the street. Tireland, a place, a business that's been in town for a long, long time, completely gone. We tried to go and talk to the owner. He was too distraught at the time to talk. But again, crews trying to clean that up. But the owner did tell me it's a complete loss. Overheard him saying he was with his wife and kids. It's amazing that they made it out alive, that they made it out unhurt. Another thing we just watched, and we're going to track this here in a second, the Red Cross vehicles just pulled in along Highway 54. Deb, Jim, we had kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Parts of Highway 54, the main stretch through Eureka, are open in parts. We're going to continue to track things out here live. I'm Carl Mann. Deb, Jim, back to you.
All right, we were waiting on that sheriff's briefing. Let's get right out to KAKE's Morgan Downing, who's downtown as we wait for more information from the sheriff.
Okay, Sheriff, can you tell us a little bit about what did you see the tornado and the situation that you guys are dealing with right now?
Yes, basically at approximately 7:14 hours, a tornado came from the southwest, moving at a northeasterly direction, and had a direct hit on Eureka. The damage path, we're still in the early stages of trying to figure out where it's at, but we figured out approximately 105 blocks, which covers a majority of Eureka from 54 Highway up to 7th Street, from the west side of town, which is Poplar, over to Jefferson Street, which is kind of in the center of downtown Eureka. So far, we've only had 5 total medicals, 1 being in critical condition, and 4 other medical issues. We've had approximately 30 different agencies respond and assist us. We appreciate all the help. At this point, we're trying to feather through the phone calls and seek the assistance because we know we're going to need it tomorrow. So we're asking people to give us a little bit of call load to slow down so that'll allow us to use those assets tomorrow. We did set off the storm sirens, but it was approximately 4 minutes prior. We've got, so far, the damage that we're getting reported back from our search and rescue is extensive tree damage and some pretty extensive structural damage to a lot of the houses. Just kind of spacing out in different areas throughout town. Obviously, power is completely out in a majority of our county. I don't know exact number from Westar. I didn't get a number before I came up. Anything else?
Right now we have search and rescue teams working up and down every street, every block, checking all the structures, checking for any trapped personnel, and doing damage assessment for us. So we're doing the preliminary search and rescue right now. When they are complete, the regional rescue team's moving in, and they should be deployed within about 2 hours. And once we get the original search and rescue teams through all the streets and get the assessments back, the regional team will be going through and doing a secondary search and mapping all of the heavily damaged structures. And they also will be checking for the heavily damaged ones to make sure there's nobody trapped under debris also. and that'll be starting within a couple hours.
As far as the injuries so far, do you know how these people were found? Do you know, were they trapped? Do you know the types of injuries that they have?
Most of the injuries we have right now are walking wounded. We've been able to access the trap personnel very easily so far. We haven't had a major extrication yet.
We know for a lot of people that this storm, I mean, we weren't anticipating necessarily severe storms. So at what point did you have sheriffs or deputies out scouting the weather, or how did you necessarily see this coming into town?
Yes, yeah, we had deputies out scouting and volunteer firemen out doing what we would call storm watching. The main rotation did not start until it was approximately a mile southwest of town. The rotation showed up, and we watched a cloud drop down that was almost to the ground, but it wasn't, and then next it hit Eureka. So
how would you describe that? I mean, how quickly it happened?
Minutes. I mean, it was just as quick as you could get somebody en route to tell us what was going on. The trees were blowing down and tin was flying off the roof.
And that's one thing I heard a lot from the community, that they felt like there was, no time. Do you feel like with the damage, I mean, things could have been a lot worse given how quickly everything happened?
I don't know yet, but I would imagine, I mean, any time it could be worse. We haven't had any fatalities reported so far, and that's always a good thing when it comes to a storm like this.
And you all, unfortunately, are no stranger to tornadoes and strong storms. So have you planned for this, and do you feel as though everything is going according as planned as far as response?
We're deploying the lessons we learned from 2 years ago. That's made a huge difference in everybody coming together a lot quicker and having plans in place quicker because of the lessons we learned 2 years ago.
And what is your title? Sorry.
Fire chief.
Fire chief, okay.
What do you want the residents of Eureka to know right now? What should they be doing?
We have set up a couple of temporary, what we would call shelters. A couple of churches have opened their doors. We're asking anybody that lives or that's not in the damaged area that is left, we're not allowing them back into that damaged area until we can render it safe. We're asking them to go to the church located at 6th and Main. There's another church at 12th and Main, and then there's one at River and Jefferson. They've all been kind enough to open their doors and allow people to come inside and kind of gather whatever they can, food, water, and then we'll gather some names to start searching if we do have anybody missing at that point.
Any estimate on how many people are displaced from their homes tonight?
We don't have a clue. Like I said earlier, approximately 105 different blocks that this has affected, so we're still in the process of trying to walk through the trees. The tree damage is astronomical.
And I apologize, we just got here. Are there any injuries at this time?
We did have 5 injuries, one of which is critical. They're all kind of a walking wounded. They've been treated at the local ER.
And what is kind of the scene center? What is happening in town right now? Your crews in the fire department. Kind of take me through what's happening at this moment.
Right now we have the initial search and rescue teams are working down every street that's been in the affected area, and each team has a street assigned to them, and they're working on both sides of that street and the side streets as they go. So they're going through street by street right now through the damaged area, looking for any displaced people, any injuries, or and reporting back to us the damaged buildings. Once they get done, the regional rescue team should be deployed here by then. We expect them within about 2 hours. And so the timing is should have our initial search done by the time the regional team gets here, and then they will start going through and they will map all of the totally collapsed and damaged structures, and then we will start checking to make sure nobody is in any of the total destruction.
So they're just going block by block right now, making sure everyone's safe and assessing, what they can do at this point.
Right.
At this time, have you all been made aware that there could be someone trapped? Are people saying that is anyone unaccounted for?
We have no reports of anybody trapped right now. Everybody that we had reports of trapped, we've dealt with and checked on, and that isn't going on now. So we expect now that if we have anybody trapped, that it's going to be a significant trap, and the regional team will be working on that.
And when do you expect the regional team to be here?
Within 2 hours. They're already started, they're already deployed, and so we expect them 2 hours. And the timing will work out really well for us because the primary teams will get done about that time, and we'll be able to pass that information on to the regional teams, and they will also map all of the damage and the dilapidated buildings. And
either of you, just knowing, I
I think what we're going to have to look at is the structure to our critical. You know, there's a lot of home damage, there's a lot of roofs damaged, and those can be fixed. That's not going to be an outrageous thing for us, but you know, what we're really going to be seeing tomorrow is the damage to the structure of the town, whether it's the local businesses. We have information the high school's been damaged, and so tomorrow we'll know a lot more about what the long-term damage of businesses, and I've had reports of a couple of our local oil field companies and elevators companies that have got some major damage to some of their buildings. So, you know, we have some of our larger businesses in town that have been affected. We do know that.
At this time, what kind of volunteers do you need?
Right now, we're using all of our local and county and surrounding county firefighters, and we have a tremendous amount of law enforcement presence here between Highway Patrol and the neighboring police and sheriff departments and wildlife and parks, and we do have a lot of help from our neighbors. We have some regional help, and tomorrow we expect the regional teams to be here for rescue. But I think what we're going to start seeing tomorrow and the next day is we're going to start needing the people to help clean up back to the skid steers and the chainsaw crews and hand crews, and I think we're going to have to see a lot of that need in the next few days. That's going to go beyond our first responders.
Thank you. And can we get your name, just?
Doug Williams.
And I guess as far as for the press goes, just a request, I guess, from us and dealing with this 2 years ago.
All right, you were listening to a live briefing. That was the Greenwood County Sheriff Heath Samuels and the Eureka Fire Chief Doug Williams. Again, extensive tree and home damage, power out throughout the entire county. Search and rescue is also working, looking for anyone who's in danger and assessing all the damage out there.
Yeah, and right now we know 5 people have been injured, 1 critical. And as Jim just mentioned, the sheriff was saying that they are going door to door looking for anybody who might be trapped, anybody who might be injured. He described the injuries as walking wounded. So, and we know one of those victims was brought by ambulance here to Wichita. Of course, we're going to have a lot more coverage from Eureka coming up in just a few minutes.
You are watching some extended coverage of some breaking news. A tornado touched down in Eureka earlier tonight.
Yeah, we have crews all over the town covering this. Let's get right out to Morgan Downing, who just talked to the fire chief and the sheriff about injuries and damage. Morgan?
Deb and Jim, we did just speak with the sheriff and the fire chief. They tell us that so far they believe that they don't have any other reports of anyone being trapped. There are 5 injuries total, 5 people injured. One of those people is in critical condition, but they do say that they are still going around. Their critical response teams are going out door to door trying to check to see for any other injuries, anyone else possibly being trapped, but they have no reports of that. The sheriff called this, they said that the town took a direct hit, you guys. They say 105 blocks, which is the majority of Eureka, was hit by this tornado. And there is going to be a regional rescue team. They expect that regional rescue team from across Kansas to come to Eureka. They're on the way, and that team will be here in about 2 hours, and that is when they're going to continue to search each and every home and go through the damage and make sure that people are safe right now. They're asking everyone, if you do live here in Eureka and your home isn't affected, to either stay home, but they do have 2 shelters open. A church at 12th and Main and a church at 6th and Main are safe places where you can go tonight. Back to you guys.
Downing reporting for us. KAKE's Jacqueline Chappell joining us back again. Last time we were talking to Jacqueline, she was telling us about a harrowing story. Some Masonic employees were able to seek shelter just in the nick of time. Jacqueline.
Yeah, Jim, we're still on that southwest corner here on Main Street and River. And right now we found some other damage. We definitely want to show you guys. Take a look at this. As you can see, this metal was bent all the way around this. You can really see how powerful the winds were that went through this town. And just moments ago, emergency management just came in. It turned on this light so a lot of people can see where the command center is. This is right here on the corner of River and Main Street. So there is a command center being set up right here in the corner. And as you can see, there is still quite a bit. I mean, there is a lot of damage in this area that we couldn't even see earlier until they turned the light on. So you can see there's quite a bit of There's wood here and metal, and across the street we see, a lot of tree lines down, and they're still out here working to restore the power to this town. But we'll keep you updated as we learn more. For now, back to you.
What a mess. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when the sun comes up tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, you always see so much more damage in the morning. Well, let's get right over to Jay Prater for a quick look at our forecast. Jay?
Let's talk about what's going on right now. We have the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Sedgwick County, and those are the only warnings at the current time. So let me go ahead and start there. If we're going to see some wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour, it's going to be with this segment of the thunderstorm here that's already crossed Lake Afton and is about to hit Suppisville over towards Viola, Clearwater, working its way down to Conway Springs. Now I'll go over to the velocity data here, and you can see very clearly that, yes, this is where we're concerned about the potential for those wind gusts in excess of 60. So we go from the red to the brighter orange here as that continues to head down to the south. What is moving through the rest of town, this is just some, heavy rain here, not even large hail that we're going to concern ourselves with. So a severe thunderstorm warning will likely be extended down into Sumner County for what's approaching Viola now. As we expand the view, a couple of the thunderstorms starting to kind of redevelop here. Extreme northeastern Kingman County and extreme southeastern parts of Reno right over the Cheney Reservoir. We'll see if those really kind of take off. I doubt they are. Other strong thunderstorms, not severe, but just strong thunderstorms. Now south of Peabody from Elbing, Burns, Matfield Green service area along the turnpike into Cassidy, and this is going to continue to move down to the south. So another round of rain for El Dorado, not out of the question. In Eureka, you've got the cleanup going on now, but the showers and thunderstorms that are across northern Greenwood County and back into Butler are going to roll back in. So we're going to get some rain here. That's going to slow down the cleanup. And as we push down to the south, other thunderstorms here in Cowley County, that is just some heavy rainfall that's pushed into parts of western Elk, and that will continue sinking on down to the south. So we've seen the worst of the weather with this. It will continue to spin down, and we'll watch this. As far as, the wind speeds, what rolled through the city, no big deal, only 27 mile per hour gust. Here, Conway Springs, it hadn't gotten there yet. And as we go live over to Hayes, we're at 77 degrees now. Garden City, 85. And in Goodland, it's 72, and you can still see a little bit of twilight on the night shot there. So around South Central Kansas and Greater Wichita, it's still 81 in Eisenhower, 79 Northwest Wichita, 79 McConnell, 77 at Augusta, 83 Newton, and 86 in Hutch. 70s across parts of western Kansas. It's going to be really hot tomorrow. Look how muggy this is. See all these dew points in the 70s. The only saving grace tomorrow, this is going to mix out. It's not going to be as humid, but it's going to be a heck of a lot hotter. Away from the storms, we don't have much in the way of gusty winds, thankfully. But here we go over the past 6 hours. You'll see the clusters of thunderstorms popping and heading down to the south. So once we get this back edge across the border, we're going to clear out for the rest of the night. This is associated with a big storm system that is finally leaving us, and a giant dome of high pressure is going to settle in for the rest of the week, and it is going to start cooking up hot. These are going to be the hottest days of the year so far. Coming up tomorrow, once we get past sunset, it settles down a little bit, and then coming up on Thursday is going to be another extremely hot day across KAKE land. As far as temperatures go, by lunch, we're already going to be well into the 90s. Look at all the triple digits tomorrow. These are not heat index numbers. This is actually what's on the thermometer. And Thursday, we're going to do it all over again. We're going to start out in the 70s and 80s. And honestly, I think we'll see more triple digits than what even the ICAST data is starting to pop out here. So for Wichita and South Central Kansas tonight, we're still dealing with the strong storms. Those will exit down to the south. We'll clear out and drop to 74. Tomorrow, 102, 104 in Hutch, 104 Thursday, 100 Friday, the ridge breaking down at the end of the week. So the weekend, we slide into the 90s. Better chances for storms Sunday and Monday. And across north central Kansas, we're clearing out. 72 Salina, the low, 68 Hayes and Great Bend. Tomorrow, I think 104 in Salina and Great Bend, 105 in Hayes and in Russell. 106 Thursday, 102 Friday. We break down the ridge. The highs come down. Thunderstorm chances go up, especially Sunday and Monday. And across western Kansas, we're going to keep this guy cleared tonight. Lows will drop into the 60s to lower 70s. And then tomorrow, plenty of sunshine, plenty of heat, lots of triple digits. Southwest Kansas, it's just as hot again on Thursday. Friday, still triple digits. Let's break down that ridge of high pressure, allow it to cool off a little bit and increase those storm chances. And even across northwest Kansas, 100 tomorrow, 102 on Thursday. Then we get into the 90s. Better storm chances as we get Sunday into Monday, and at least back down into the 80s for a few days. Jim, Deb?
Thanks a lot, Jay. Well, of course, if you have loved ones over in the Eureka area and the Greenwood County area, Westar is now telling us that it could take them some time to restore power. So if you were trying to reach a loved one there and you're worried about them, just to know that they are without power. So it's a good chance their cell phone or their phone